in my neighborhood, we don't.
I
Man,
know. I know.
I spoke more to you when you were in Cali.
I think we did. I think that's actually
Yeah.
true. Okay, so I think we should be we it says we're live, so this is great. So I am excited. We have Jasmine Onyeku here, and she's going to be facilitating an amazing session. Without further ado, I'm here to learn from you. Thank you for being here with Strategic Solutions Global. And for those who don't know, my name is Nancy Taya Ragbai. I'm the founder of Strategic Solutions Global. It's all about discovering, delivering, and disrupting the world, right? With your ideas, with your innovations. And I'm so happy to have women a part of our network who are powerful and brilliant and who want to give off their brilliance to others so they can continue to impact so we can be greater. And so always a pleasure to have you. Jasmine, you are phenomenal. And I am going to pass the torch over to you so you can do your thing and get this show started.
Thank you, Nancy. Hello, women. Hello, great leaders. I know I'm speaking to a global community of leaders, and I just love to be in the midst of women because they get me, we get each other, and we can relate with a lot of things. So I can't wait to share with you today. I'm going to be sharing my screen right away so that we can get started. So if you can see my screen, let me know. Thank you. So my name is Jasmine Onuku, like Nancy rightly said. I am a business consultant and leadership coach right here in Canada. And I started as an entrepreneur in Nigeria. But I consider myself as someone who I was doing the child's play kind of entrepreneurship in Nigeria before my family and I moved over to Canada. And when I came here, I saw a whole new landscape of entrepreneurship. It was a different an entirely different ecosystem. So I had to get in the weeds to learn exactly what entrepreneurship especially for the 21st century is about. And I've moved around. I went from being a home organizing expert, building, just serving people in their homes, to doing trainings and coaching and teaching, to now being fully into consulting and helping, especially startups and scale-ups to validate their ideas and grow. So today we're going to be talking about the galvanizing the fourth industrial revolution entrepreneur. And I had a couple of slides before this page, but I just decided to skip those. For those of you who were at the empowerment conference, we covered a couple of the things I wanted to talk about today. So if you weren't there, you need to go and watch the videos from that conference because I'm going to be piggybacking on some of the things I talked about that day. So today we're going to be talking about galvanizing the fourth industrial revolution entrepreneur so that we're ready for the future of work because it's already here and there's just a lot of noise and a lot of there's signals, but this noise is the noise is more than the signals, and the noise is beginning to drown out the signals. So we don't even know what to look out for. Well, how do we prep for AI? How do we prep for the future of this artificially intelligent agents? How do we position our expertise, our skills, our talents, and how do we ensure that we stay relevant so we don't get replaced by the machines? We're going to be talking about all of that today. So first of all, I want to start off by just distinguishing between an expert and an entrepreneur. Because the thing is, entrepreneurship has become so glamorized and so glorified that we don't know who really is an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to claim entrepreneur, CEO, founder. We don't all have to be entrepreneurs. The truth is, some of us are better suited for just being experts, for being specialists in different domains. So at the end of this session, you'll be able to determine whether you are either an expert or an entrepreneur, or you're both. Maybe you're operating across both divides, and you'll be clear on how to carry yourself, especially for the future. If you're an expert, you'll be clear on what to do and how to fortify and solidify your expertise. If you are an entrepreneur, you also be clear on how to get the best experts. I don't know if you've watched pitch, or if you've watched investor pitches, if you watch Dragon's Den and all those kinds of shows, you would often hear investors ask entrepreneurs, are you the expert in this problem? And when we coach entrepreneurs at my company, we often tell them, never say no to that question. You just need to tell the investor that I am the risk taker. I'm the one who is going to seize opportunities to make this business work, but I have a team of experts who are working behind me or with me. If you're not an expert in that area of problem you're trying to solve. Never tell the investor, oh no, I'm not an expert, because they're going to think you don't have the credibility. They're going to lose trust in you. So you don't want to make them feel, oh, can this person really solve the problem? Entrepreneurs really are risk takers. Let's just be clear. All entrepreneurs are not experts in the problem they're solving. They take the risks, they bring the finances, they seize the opportunities, they go out there. Entrepreneurs are the ones who do the networking a lot. Experts sometimes, again, we're going to break down expertise. If you're a top level or a top down expert, you are not necessarily big on marketing, advertising, networking. Sometimes you're just in the laboratory, you're doing your research, you're down in the field trying to understand the problem. So that's what I want us to start off on this page. I don't know if you can see my screen. Is it all good on your end? Okay.
Yes, it looks great.
Okay, great. So we have expertise is a two-dimensional approach. So we have the top down and the bottom up. I think we can also use this framework for both entrepreneurship and expertise, but I like to use it mostly for expertise. So when you're on the top, you're more problem focused. If you're a top-down expert, you are mostly focusing on the problem, the intricacies of the problem, what this problem is about, how did it start? You're collecting a lot of data, doing a lot of research. But when you are a bottom-up expert, you are more people focused. You're not asking yourself, who has this problem? What market is this problem predominantly in? And where are the consumers? How do we find them? So the simple way to differentiate between a top-down and a bottom-up expert is to understand that a top-down expert is more problem focused, while a bottom-up expert is more people focused. Once you get this clarity, once you get this clear distinguishing factor, it helps you go out there and choose the area of expertise you want to predominantly function in. So just like you see, there are 7 areas of expertise. We could also break this down into, we could also apply this to the entrepreneur as well. So let's focus on the experts for now. You see the consulting, coaching, strategizing, advising, servicing, inspiring, and merchandising. So let me just break them down from a top-down perspective. So knowledge development happens on the top. When you're a consultant, you're doing a lot of research, like I said, you're building frameworks, you're building solutions that will influence the market. Is the people at the top, like if you go to most tech companies, have consultants, technology experts who work with them. Let's use tech companies because they're very relevant for these times. They have, most of the times, their technicians are not in the field, they are not in the marketplace, they're not marketing, they're not doing networking. They are either in the company's research or innovation lab, and they are doing a lot. They are just invested in research. So those guys can be considered as consultants. But a consultant is a topmost on this list because their job is very intricate, very delicate. They are working with the depth of the problem. So at a consulting level, you need to be a master of the problem. You need to have mastery of the problem. Then from consulting, we come into coaching. A coach needs to have a consulting outlook, but they don't necessarily have to be building frameworks and building models and building algorithms. As a consultant, you need to know how to build algorithms and frameworks and models. A coach doesn't necessarily need to know how to do that excellently, but they need to know how to source the best frameworks. Even if you're a mental health coach, even if you're a life coach, a Life Harmony. There was a time I was in Life Harmony coaching. I had to go source the best frameworks. I had to do my research to see the consultants who had built frameworks around this problem I'm solving so that I could recommend those problems or use those frameworks to help my clients. So at a coaching level, you are sourcing the best frameworks. So if you don't have a consulting outlook, you may not be able to find the best frameworks to solve that problem. When you step down into strategizing, a strategizer does not necessarily build frameworks, but they build plans, they build roadmaps, they build schedules. They can build a plan a business plan can be built by a strategizer. But if you want to maximize the service of a consultant, let them get to work in helping you build the algorithm for your technology. That's where you optimize the services of a consultant. Now, as you come down on the list, it becomes less complicated or less complex and more opportunistic, right? So as you drop down on this list of 7 areas of expertise, you can then spread your wings. But when you're a consultant, you're better off narrowed down to one area of problem because you're dealing with a lot of data, you're doing a lot of research. If you're doing too many things, you'll be delivering suboptimal expertise, right? So from strategy, we go to advising, that is number 4. An advisor can be a teacher, like people who work in universities, people who teach, who train, who tutor. In my opinion, they're advisors. They don't necessarily build the curriculum. They don't build the frameworks. They don't build the models. They take what's already there and they share with other people. So if you're a trainer for a company, if you're a facilitator, you fall under the category of advising. A servicer is someone who just manages equipment, manages people, doesn't train, doesn't transfer any kind of knowledge or expertise or framework. They just manage. When you go to, like in a business, there's what we call business process outsourcing. People who do BPO services are servicers. You just get them to manage your technology, manage your tools. If you are in a school, the teachers will be the advisors and the admin people, the non-teaching staff would be the servicers. So that's another area of expertise. Then you have the inspirers. For me, all influencers, all content creators, all brand ambassadors and brand advocates, they fall under inspirers. Now, you need inspirers in your company. You need inspirers in today's world because people need to know what you're doing. Even if you have the great consultants in your company, if you don't have people who inspire, who make a lot of noise, who influence for your company, you might not be able to get the market. That's why I said at the top, you have problem-focused people. At the bottom, you have the people who are driving the engagement in the market. They are more people-focused. At the top, you have problem-focused experts. The last one on the list here is the merchandising. Now, these are the sales guys, the vendors, the retailers, the drop shipping people, all those ones who deal with the physical product. Their job is just to take the physical product and give it to someone. They don't need to build it. They don't need to be down in the weeds trying to understand how it is figured out, but they need to at least understand the purpose for the product, right? If you're an expert in today's world, you don't want to be selling something that you don't know. I saw one video someone was making about a company that hired YouTube influencers. They are a financial services company. They were big in the US at one point. I don't know their status right now, but they were growing. They had this, if the valuation was realistic. And now I'm not going to mention their name because I don't like putting brands out there for legal purposes, right? But they had this, there was a lot of buzz around them, but they came under serious criticism because they were getting YouTube influencers to promote their services. And some of the influencers they were hiring were not financial experts. They had no clue what this company was doing. They had no clue what their products were about. So people started shouting, this is red flag, all kinds of, alarms were going off in people's heads and saying, how do you hire people who do not understand what you're doing to sell to a vulnerable audience? This is manipulation, this is exploitation and all that. So if you're in today's world, even if you're a merchandising expert, you want to at least understand the relevance of the product and the solution so that you can do your expertise well. So on this screen, I just wanted to break down the different types of expertise. We could also apply this framework, like I said, to entrepreneurship. So if you are someone who's an entrepreneur and you're more into researching, you love to get into the nitty-gritty of a problem, you could be building a consulting firm. You could be an innovator. You could be the innovating guy, meaning you don't sell the technology, but you build it, then you give the technology, you give the patent, or you give the trademark, or you give the license to the entrepreneur, to the guy who takes it to the market. There are tons of entrepreneurs like that. You don't know them. The Microsoft technology that we know today, it wasn't built by Bill Gates. Bill Gates was the guy who was the entrepreneur. He took advantage. He didn't build the technology, the core technology that Microsoft is running on today wasn't built by Bill Gates, right? So the technologists or the innovators might be building, then the entrepreneurship front-facing guys might come take their technology and then take it to the market and make a lot of noise about it. So simply put, this framework is just to help us understand the two major types of knowledge work. So you have the knowledge development, which is top down, is upstream. Then you have the knowledge dissemination, which is downstream. Merchandisers and influencers, content creators, they all fall under inspirers. I call them the inspiring knowledge workers. And we need them, right? We need them to put our solutions out there. So at the end of, towards the end of this session, we're going to be trying to fit ourselves into one of these 7 areas. So going right ahead, I want to talk about how to attain mastery in today's world. And we're now in the fourth industrial revolution, and this is the third, the Web3 world. So the third iteration of the web, or the third iteration of the web. In order to attain mastery, we need to understand our innate capabilities. So it's not enough to say, oh, I think I like consulting. It sounds really good. Let me just hop on the consulting bandwagon and call myself a consultant. What if naturally you are an outgoing person? You are someone who loves to communicate. For me, I'm not an outgoing person. Communication is not my strongest ability. I do more with my mind. I'm a visualizer. I do more with visualizing, with doing my spatial mapping and all of that. So I do more with just working with information on a daily. I could be in an office for months, just digging into data and doing research, and I'll be fine. I'll feel fulfilled with my work as long as I'm finding answers to the questions, right? So I'm developing hypotheses and testing them with data and all that. That's how I naturally perform. So I had to develop my speaking and communication abilities over time, but that's not my predominant natural domain. So you have to understand your innate domain, because for the fourth industrial revolution and the future, our skills and experience will no longer be enough. If you want to be original in your expertise and in your entrepreneurship abilities, you want to attain mastery, and you want to do it through originality. You want to be original. So go tap into your unique inherent domain. Now you have to determine what you want to accomplish. In today's world, I hear a lot of things. I just wish they would not censor, but moderate the kinds of advertising that gets showed or gets displayed on YouTube. There's a ton of them. I don't know if you see this advertising where someone is telling you, I want to help you generate wealth. I have the wealth generation secrets to help you replace your income, make a fortune, live your best life. In fact, I just mentioned it on the screen here. I saw one recently. I took the patience to just watch the video. Sometimes I just end the advert and go right into what I want to watch. But I took the patience and the pain, I should actually say the pain, to watch that video to the end. And at the end, the person said, how I'm going to help you do all of these things is through an AI generated ebook that you're going to sell on Amazon. So through an AI generated ebook sold on Amazon, this person is claiming they can help me replace my income, make a fortune, live my best life, travel around the world, vacation and holiday on the beach of my choice. Come on, let's be realistic. That's so not true. It's so not feasible in today's world. You can't just build wealth like that. So we need to avoid listening to snake oil salesmen, all these hustlers with their, for me, the baits are so old. The messaging and narratives are so irrational. And if you're an expert in today's world, you don't want to be caught up in this mess, because I see a lot of experts and entrepreneurs spending money on guys selling courses and selling programs on how to make you rich. My question is, have you ever seen a wealthy person who brings their trade secret and makes it public? I mean, we would all have access to Warren Buffett's investment strategy if that was the case. Even if you're so benevolent, human beings are not like that. We're inherently selfish. If you had the secrets to creating wealth, you'd be hiding that secret. That's the truth. So that's a number one red flag. I'm going to give you my secrets on how I made wealth. So if you are an expert in the fourth industrial revolution, you want to avoid those kinds of messagings. They're fraudulent. I could just go on. I get frustrated, so I don't want to pour my frustration on you all here today. So talking about your innate performance style, there are 4 types of performance styles that will determine which of those expertise areas you choose, or which of them you will reinforce for the future, right? So some of us are orally oriented. We can talk to save our lives. We can talk ourselves out of situations. We can persuade people to buy anything we're selling. It's a natural inherent trait. I have someone like that in my house. My last daughter talks for a living. She uses her words, she tells stories, she's very persuasive. So if that's you, if you naturally perform that way, then you might be an inspirer, you might be a merchandiser, you might be someone who garners attention, who knows how to galvanize people around a product or around a company. Are you socially savvy? If you're the socially savvy person, you'll be very great at servicing. You'll be very great at also merchandising. You'll be very great at also inspiring. Are you empathetically endowed? If you're someone who deals more with your emotions, maybe you're a highly sensitive person, you can interpret people's emotions, you can interpret, you have a great ability in managing interpersonal relationships. You can also, based on that, you can determine which of those areas of expertise you would fit into more. A coach needs to be empathetically endowed, because when you're coaching, you're working with people, even therapists, people who advise. If you're a teacher, if you work with transferring knowledge, you also want to have this natural ability. Then there's the intellectually inclined folks, the ones who they're always looking at information, always reading. They don't get tired of reading. They're reading, they're consuming. If you're someone who reads a lot, people around you would have told you, what is it? When are you going to get a life? Or are you going to keep reading and reading? So if you've heard people make comments like that at you, maybe, just maybe, that's your natural domain. So you want to, based on those four main, this is based on research. We are even built a performance assessment based on those four areas to help experts, to help leaders know their innate, because it's going to, in the future, your work has to blend with your life. For the future, your work has to be an infusion, has to be infused into your essence. If your work does not align with your essence, with your personality profile, with your cognitive and neurological profile, it's going to be hard. Truth is, it will be tough for the future. And when I say future, I want you to think of anything happening from now onwards and from tomorrow onwards, because today is already in the past. And with the rates of technological advancements, our future is now it's more imminent than it used to be in the past, right? So changes are happening faster than ever. So you want to figure out you want to figure out your natural area of performance, because it's going to determine whether you find fulfillment, whether you feel satisfied with your work, whether you thrive with your work or not, will be dependent on how your work aligns with your essence, how it aligns with your purpose, how it fuses and just merges with who you are. You don't have this split personality. You don't have this context switching. You leave work, you have to take on a whole new personality when you're at work, because you're earning a living from this thing. It will cause a lot of stress. It will cause psychological issues, which might degenerate to physiological challenges. And we don't want that. We want to thrive. We want to thrive for the future. So we can do that work later. Let me move on, because we don't have that much time today. And now, I'm going to look at the comments when I'm done towards the end. We have Q&A, so leave your comments, leave your chats. If anything is hitting you as we're talking, just leave it in the chat. I'll get to them towards the end. Now, for those of you who are watching on social media, unfortunately, I can only see comments on the Zoom live platform, but you can leave your comments there as well. We can look at them much later after now. Thank you for your audience and for tuning in. Another thing I want to mention at this point is how to sustain mastery through focus. So now we've talked about how to achieve mastery through being original. You have to be authentic to who you are, your natural domain. This is the time to figure it out, but you have to sustain it. So now you've figured out your natural domain and you've chosen how you want to do your work, whether you're an entrepreneur or an expert, or you're both of those together. Now you want to sustain that mastery, right? You would see a lot of messagings out there today. Build your brand, be on the center stage, get seen, get heard, get paid. In fact, I saw one, was it not a couple of days ago, and the person said, if you are in 2024 and you're not showing up on social media every day, you're not building a business. And I'm like, come on. We can't all be showing up on social media. That's not the way the world works. Let's be realistic, for heaven's sake. Some people are going to be working on the ideas that will bring value to the company. Not all of us are going to be out there and front facing. Some of us are going to be behind the scenes. It's just like when you go to entertainment in the movie industry. We know these celebrities for sure. They are the ones whose names get a lot of endorsement or get a lot of traction, right? But if you don't have the directors, if you don't have the executive producers, if you don't have the crew, the other guys, these celebrities don't have a job. They won't have anything to earn. So we're not all going to be front-facing in entrepreneurship. Some of us are going to be behind the scenes. So you don't have to be the center stage person. Now, this is why I say you need to get a mastery of your domain, so that all these messages don't mess with you. So if you're the guy who's in the lab, I saw a video recently of a medical doctor who said, if I'm not seeing my patients, I'm in the lab. He's a neurosurgeon, right? If I'm not seeing patients, I'm in the lab trying to do a research on this he's a neurosurgeon, for heaven's sake. That's you're cutting open people's skulls and you're entering their brains and pulling apart neurons. It's so delicate. That kind of person, I don't expect him to have a social media life. He cannot afford that. That's expensive. That's expensive. He can't afford to do that. So this is mixed messaging. This is, just give me a moment. I need to leave a note with my husband. There's one trying to reach out to me. Oh, my apologies. Let me just message him. He won't stop. Okay, that should take care of it. So going on, so I was talking about the medical doctor, right, who's a neurosurgeon, who said, if I'm not seeing clients, if I'm not in my operating room, I am in my lab trying to understand the problem, working with my research assistants, looking at our clients' issues and finding data to help build better solutions. I do not expect that doctor to be a social media guy. There's another medical doctor, a young guy who hangs out on social media. In fact, for me, he's more of a content creator than a medical doctor. And he's also come under heat by, he's had a lot of criticisms by his audience and patients who say, this guy is more of a content creator than a medical doctor. I don't even trust his expertise anymore because content creation takes time. It takes a lot of resources and effort. And if you're going to be doing this other type of work, you can't afford to be code switching or context switching. I don't know if I'm making sense. I hope I am. But now, to sustain mastery, after you've attained that mastery, you have to stay focused. You can't be carried away by every messaging out there, every prompting out there. Every prompt is not for you. So with this days, when I hear, get on the center stage, you must be seen and heard. I'm like, I'm building a technology. I'm trying to solve a tough, complex problem. I need to focus. I need to remove distractions from around my environment so I can solve this difficult problem. We're trying to solve complex problems for humans, right? So you want to optimize your main area of performance and stay in your domain. If you are an influencer, a content creator, then by all means, be out there, build your brand and all that. But if that's not you, then you don't have to. You don't have to. Like I said here, we have influencers, we have innovators. Influencers, they are the revolutionaries, they are the activists, they are the advocates, they are the brand ambassadors, they are the content creators. Look at them on this to the left side of my screen. Innovators are working on a lot of stuff that is not front-facing. They are behind the scenes, but we need them for the future of work. We need them to help us build solutions that are optimal. Because just look around you. We have a lot of suboptimal technology, suboptimal solutions. We have entrepreneurs making claims about what their technology can do, but when push comes to shove, when the rubber hits the road, the technologies fail. They don't meet the expectations of consumers. And we just need to correct that. And the only way we can correct that is to have the balance between the front-facing guys and the guys who are not. In this digital media age, we need to figure it out. So now, the future of work is going to have an impact on our machines and on our mind. And I just need to say it here because there's this confusion between the machine and the mind. And I hear entrepreneurs saying, AI, in fact, I was listening to Elon Musk recently, a couple of days ago, and Elon Musk was saying, we're trying to build a supercomputer. So he's moved into the AI space right now. He's more into his XAI company. And he's telling us how they're building a supercomputer that's going to surpass human intelligence. You would hear messages like this a lot. If you're a leader, fear not, fret not. The truth is, machines cannot surpass the mind. That's my take. We can debate this later, but there's no way. Machines need data from the past. Humans were futuristic. We can change our mind overnight. A machine cannot change its mind overnight. It's a programmed something. It's a programmed system. So there's no competition between the machine and the mind. We need both. We need the machine to augment our capabilities, but our natural human intelligence will always be ahead of machines. We don't want to disrespect the machines. I'm not all for humans feeling very arrogant and proud. I'm not all for that. I'm all for us humbling ourselves and saying, oh, well, how can this machine help us? But to allow the machine to subdue us, to subject ourselves and put ourselves beneath the machine is what I'm not going to subscribe to. And I would not encourage anyone to do that. So the machine is another thing we need to understand is that these machines, they're energy and power hungry. And we have an energy crisis in the world, climate change, right? We have an ecological crisis on our hands, and we want to feed machines more data. The more data we feed them, the more energy they would need to sustain the data. The thing with our mind is our minds are energy optimizing. A human being's mind can hold a lot of things with very little energy. So for technologies to be telling us that machines will surpass our, this alone disproves that narrative. So our machines will be there to help us, but it won't replace us. So here's what I do for leaders, and I will encourage you to take a screenshot of this so that you just keep yourself reminded about the difference between human and machine intelligence and where they intercept. Now, why are we talking about this? Remember that the title for this webinar is Galvanizing the Fourth Industrial Revolution Visionaries. We need to be visionaries for the future. We also need to be revolutionaries, and I'll explain the difference between those. So human intelligence is there. Machine intelligence is a mimicking or a mimicry of human intelligence. And now human intelligence on the left here, you see the human brain there. And it would need, human intelligence needs DIKW, which is my acronym for data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Human intelligence needs that. Human intelligence is powered by genes and nerves. The genes are there. The genes are what you inherited from your ancestry. The kind of the amount of information in our DNA, machines cannot even compute that. The human DNA holds billions and billions, if not trillions of data. Machines can't hold that here at this point. It can't compute that. If machines could compute it, would have been masters at genetic sequencing. So far, so good. We can't do that in medicine so well. So we're still struggling, right? So on a human level, we have genes and we have nerves. Nerves are in our brains. Nerves make up the neural network in our brains. Nerves help us receive and transmit information from our environment, even within our system, information from the central nervous system to what is called the peripheral nervous system and all that. The nerves helps us do that. Our machines don't have the kind of complexity that our nerves have, not yet. In fact, not anywhere near, okay? So take hope in the fact that human intelligence is still valid. We also have original intelligence, meaning we don't need a lot of data from the past. Yes, we use data from the past, but there's what is called revelation, right? Humans can tap into revelation. I don't know how many of you here have tapped into that. I have, and I want to tap more into revelation, where you get insights into things that you have not necessarily spent time and collected a lot of data on, but you just had a revelation, you had a kind of impartation, and it was so accurate, it helped you solve a problem. We are the only ones that can do that. Machines can't do that. They will still need artificial intelligence, right? So then we also have cognition. The cognition is our ability to make sense in complex situations and when we just experience new data. But machines will not, they will need to piggyback on what they've stored and what they've processed. So this could be an entire class on its own, but I just want to move on. But we have similarities between human and machine intelligence, right? It's based on an output-input arrangement, garbage in, garbage out. If you feed the mind, if you feed the human with the right DIKW, you will be able to get out cognition. You'll be able to get out understanding. You'll be able to get out original intelligence from the human being. The AI, they also need input in, input out. If you feed them the right data, if you feed them the right information, they will give you great results. So the more that we work on the mind, we're able to feed good data into the machines, then the machines with their codes and their nodes can then augment our capabilities, but not replace it. And for, I put a note here, I said, let's also not be caught up amongst the group of people or caught up with the group of people that attribute human-like qualities to man-made machines, right? Man-made machines will never be humans. They will never take on human. I keep saying never with some level of certainty because I believe I could go into a religious conversation. I try not to do that, but I believe that we were designed with intention from a higher source, from a higher being, and whatever we create, yes, we can take credit for, but it can't replace us or rise above us, because we're creating these things with subnatural elements. So moving on to the next one. Important notes here: if we don't feed the machines, they won't favor us. Okay, now I think here's what this is. I think this is a quote I saw. I saw this quote somewhere on social media. Someone said, if the machines could speak, they would say, "Get off me and go get a life." If you come on social media, and I don't know if you've been messed up by the algorithm across social media platforms. Why does the algorithm mess up a person? If you don't obey the rules of the algorithm, right? So the machines want to eat and they want you to feed them, feed them, feed them. So the more we feed the machines, the more data the machines collect about us and about our world. And they can then, ideally, the machines are supposed to use that data to help us understand the world better. But technologists, capitalists, they take that data and they use it to influence our behaviors negatively or to their own advantage. Hopefully we get to a world where we use AI more ethically and more responsibly. So someone said, the machines want to eat and you have to feed them 3 to 5 times a day to be favored by the algorithm. Like again, I said, if you are a behind the scene expert or entrepreneur, you may not be into understanding how the algorithm works, but if you are an influencer, content creator, then you should try to understand that. But note that the machines will need a lot of data, and this is why they need it. They need it to power the algorithm. They need it to power their system. They need it, those who use the machines. Hopefully they'll be ethical in the future so that as they're collecting the data from you, they are now telling you, oh, this is how to post, this is how to share, this is what's going to solve the problem better. Hopefully we'll get there. Another person said, they are greedy as hell. You can be bothered about feeding the machine and still, you cannot be bothered about feeding the machine and still able to commit to deep work that you call complex problems. So I just copied these conversations from Instagram. I didn't edit it. So I guess this person was saying, you cannot be bothered about feeding the machine and still be able to commit to deep work. Like I said, you have to choose which place, how you want to play your game. So in rearranging the equation, we put the human mind first because it's the most sophisticated, it's the most complex. Then when we put the human mind first, we then bring the machine afterwards. Then we want to partner with the machines. I mean, I use ChatGPT every day. I use it for my research. I use it to optimize my resources, my content, my information and my knowledge. So you also want to do that. So what I'm saying here, in order to balance this relationship, we need a bidirectional and secular relationship, okay? Fuel your mind. Don't expect the machine to do that for you because the machines only rely on the amount of data we feed them. If you fuel your mind, look around you, even just observing your environment can be fuel for your mind. So fuel your mind, make sure your mind is powered with the right knowledge, avoid propaganda, avoid conspiracy theories. I see a lot of these days, we have a lot of people who claim to be journalists, but in my opinion, they're just conspiracy theorists. A journalist does fact reporting. A journalist shares with you evidence, hard data, and they analyze their evidence. If you're coming up with your idea and your opinion about something without evidence, you're a theorist and you're a conspiracy theorist. So I try to avoid people like that because they mess with our minds. They get us to be scared, to be overwhelmed, to be hyper vigilant about everything. There's certain things you don't need to be hyper vigilant about. So even experts these days, we've seen experts who've become conspiracy theorists. So you need to fuel your mind with the right knowledge. And that's why in partnership with Strategic Solutions, we want to build something, a platform where when we recommend a knowledge resource, we know that we vetted it, we validated it so that leaders have a place where they can trust what they are consuming so they can use it to fuel their mind. So we'll get to that much later because we need to be knowledge engineers, especially those of us who will build solutions. Well, like I said, we need people who can build solutions to already existing problems without already existing data. And that's where revelation comes. We need people who can just get ideas from the realm of knowingness, from the realm of wisdom, from the realm beyond this realm to help us solve our complex problems. And if we don't fuel our minds, we can't do that. But I call the relationship bi-directional. So while we're engineering knowledge, we're digging in, we also need people who are merchandising, who are engaging with the machines, who are feeding the machines and getting feedback from the machines. And it's going to be a very networked kind of arrangement. Is a network approach that will help us optimize our technologies for the future. So again, I put the framework here, and here I just wanted to highlight how knowledge is integrated. So you have forward integration. When you are, say you're a consultant and you're working on this problem and you get to a point and you're hooked, you don't have sufficient data, your job is to say, how do I move past this point? So as a consultant, you might want to go towards the bottom up people. You might want to partner with a merchant or partner with an inspirer, a content creator, to pull a community of people to engage and collect data, or get your already existing information and get them to validate it. So that's forward integration, when the person at the top down is connecting with the bottom up person to help them do their job better. If you're a bottom up knowledge worker, expert, or entrepreneur, you own a retail outfit, you are like, maybe you own something like a Costco. Costco is essentially a merchandising arrangement, right? They are not consulting or coaching, they just do wholesales. They get already finished goods and they create a platform for them. Maybe I heard that Costco is sometimes into manufacturing and all that. So if they're into manufacturing, they might have consultants who occupy a section of their business model, but their most famous or most known business framework is what I would call the wholesale arrangement, right? So if you're a merchandiser on your supply and you realize, oh, our clients are not getting satisfaction from this solution, they are complaining that the technology is suboptimal, you have to do a backward integration. You have to work with the strategist, work with the coach or the consultant, who will then help you look at the framework, look at the model, and all of that. So I want us to do an exercise for those of us here on Zoom. Let's just, again, go through this 7 levels of knowledge expertise and choose where we predominantly play. It would just be nice to have knowledge. Now, you can play across multiple layers. You can be the consultant who once in a while is also the merchant, who does trade shows, who's out there in the storefront, who's out there exchanging the goods with the consumers. You could do that. It's possible, even though it's going to be complicated. If you are top down, I would encourage you to really focus more there. But you can have multiple areas, but you just need to choose one that is your dominant so that you can prioritize that one. So if anything I've said is clear to us, I'd like to have interactions here. I'm going to just run through this again, and I'll ask us to unmute ourselves and talk about which areas of expertise we see ourselves currently operating at the most. And if it's multiple, for sure, let us know. So as a consultant, you have to have mastery in the problem. You're driving innovation. As a coach, you need to have advanced proficiency because you're nurturing growth. You're taking the frameworks and the algorithms that the consultants have built and you're using it to serve people, either a team of executives or a team of people. If you're a strategist, you need basic proficiency because you're just the guy who you draw plans. You give people directions on where to go. And you can also, as a strategist, you should actually be able to recommend the best technology or the best frameworks for your clients. Then we have the advisor who is advanced in their competence. They don't have to be master, but they need to have an advanced competence because as an advisor, you're telling people what to do. And I think I have another page where we break this down further. So we'll get there before I'll ask you guys to unmute yourselves because we have a couple more, about 15 more minutes to go. Then if you are an inspirer, you are an advanced beginner. So like speakers, motivational speakers. I've seen motivational speakers have come under a lot of heat lately. In fact, there are entrepreneurs who do not believe in motivational speakers. They call them sales oil snakes, man. Sales oil snake oil salesmen. It's so tongue twisting for me. So they call them snake oil salesmen, right? I was listening to one entrepreneur who, I hate to mention names, but let's just mention Tony Robbins for referencing. So this entrepreneur said, oh, the likes of Tony Robbins are spoiling are just doing damage to expertise because they're not consultants, they're not strategists, they're just guys who know how to speak and move an audience. And I heard that conversation in like 2020. Then in 2021, I was doing my research and I saw the founder of Salesforce. I can't remember his name now. The founder of Salesforce came out to say that working with Tony Robbins helped his company grow. And that was when Salesforce did their IPO and they became $1 billion valuation. They hit the unicorn status, right? And I'm like, but this is what the Tony Robbins, someone was trash talking. This is why as experts, we need to be humble. We have multiple dimensions of expertise. So let's assume Tony Robbins was just a motivational speaker and he was just an inspirer, but he still contributed to the growth of a company, right? So we have a truckload of players within this value chain, and all of us matter. If you're a merchant, you're just the salesperson, you're the product outsourcing person, you still matter to the big picture. So I'm going to skip this. Okay, let's just look at this one for a moment. I'm going to send this resource to every expert here. This resource is important because, say, for example, a client hires you. For me, clients have hired me as a servicer. Oh, Jasmine, we just want you to come and train our team. And after training their team, they're asking me to develop strategic playbooks for them. And when I was naive, I would still develop the strategic playbook and charge them like a trainer. But that's not right. For me to develop a strategic playbook, I have to commit to a lot of, spend hours of research, spend hours reading and preparing. So I was undercharging myself, and I was getting cheated. So if you're an expert, you need this framework so that the client doesn't cheat you. If you're also a client, an entrepreneur, you need this framework so experts don't cheat you. You don't have someone who comes into your company and they tell you, I'm a consultant, I would help your company solve all its complex problem. But when you then bring the problem, they don't know where to start. Rather, they will just help you. They will give you templates. I see this a lot. Consultants giving templates upon templates. It's so wrong. If you're an expert, you're cheating the client when you do that. It's just fraudulent, and we don't want that for the future of work. So on this page, we have the 7 levels of expertise on the left here. Then we have the decision-making level. We broke it down into 3. So the top 3 experts areas, they service the strategic level decision-making domain within a company. This is where you have the executive leaders and senior management. Then the second set of experts, a strategist can service both the executive people and the middle management people. So that's why we have this line here in the middle. So you have the strategist, advisor, and servicer. They would work mostly with management level guys. Is the management level guys you need to give templates and to do guidelines and processes and workflows. Is what managers use to do their work. Strategic people need models, they need concepts, they need strategic playbooks, they need tactics. So you need to know who you're servicing. If you're working with the CEO of a Fortune 500, for example, as a consultant, you need to charge them the part and you need to deliver these kinds of knowledge assets. Don't give them templates. They will disrespect you. If they know their onions, they will disrespect you and they would call off the engagement with you. If you also are an entrepreneur and someone is coming to sell, oh, I'm a consultant, you also need to be able to validate their expertise using this system. So I'm sure we can all screenshot this and look at it further, deeper. If you have any questions, we can do that. So in a company, in any kind of company, regardless of the size, you have 3 main levels of decision making. You have the strategic, the management, and the operational. The strategic often feeds into the executive leadership and senior management. The management level often deals with middle management and frontline management. So the middle management guys often are the ones who handle other managers. The frontline managers are the ones who handle the people who are doing the work, the operational people. Then on the 3rd level, you have the professionals and entry-level talents who are doing the operational work. So it's simple. Even when you're running a startup, you need to have this simple framework. If you're running a company, so that you know who to hold accountable. If this is a strategic decision-making task, you're talking to the executive leadership. Don't go talking to the operational guys for strategic level problems. You're going to destroy your company doing that. So this is just a simple framework. And this is another one. This is because it's a very important resource. We had to break it down. Okay, so there's another page here to show 40 plus expertise expressions on the knowledge work value chain. So look on this list here, you will see different titles, different expressions. Under coaches, you would see executive coaches, management coaches, organizational coaches, individual or group coaches, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but just a few. Under advisor, you see like policy recommenders. There are many people who work for governments who are just policy recommenders. They don't design the policies, but they recommend policies. There are also auditors and regulators, inspectors, investigators, therapists. Most therapists fall under advisory. A therapist, if the therapist is a great one, they might also be building their own frameworks. Otherwise, they could use already existing frameworks to serve their clients. Then under services, you have project, product, program managers. And now, this is not just, when I say expertise, I don't just want you to think expertise that are outsourced. So an expert can also be a full-time employer within a company. You can have that kind of experts, right? So you have program developers, course creators as services, course creators, contractors, resource persons, facilitators, and all that. Inspirers, we have a lot of them. YouTubers, podcasters, content creators, bloggers, ambassadors, advocates. Those guys are inspirers. But just look around you and see that these guys are getting a lot of traction. These guys are getting a lot of clout these days. And it's so tempting. All of us want to pack into this one domain of expertise. Everybody wants to now be an ambassador, a content creator, an influencer. I personally don't want to be that. Yeah, I'm just not cut out for that kind of, it's not my, like, it does not align strongly with my innate area of expertise, like I said earlier. So we can't all pack into this box. What happens to the other boxes? We're going to leave a gap in the space of problem solving. We're going to leave a gap in the industry that the generations coming after us won't be able to fix. It's just saddening that everybody wants to have this large platform, and because they think it's more attractive financially, is more lucrative, but that's not the truth. We can make money, we can create wealth playing across all those other fields. So time's running. I have 5 more minutes left. I'm just going to rush quickly. Now, who's really an expert? Because we're talking about expertise, right? And we differentiated between expert and entrepreneur. An expert has specialty in an area. An entrepreneur takes risks and seizes opportunities. But who's really an expert? You can also be a hobbyist. You don't have to have a degree in a professional field. You don't have to have a credential or a certificate from an institution to be an expert. You could be a self-proclaimed expert. But if that's the case, you need to be honest. You need to own up. Because I saw one coach who was claiming to have gone to Harvard to study life coaching. And someone said, is there a course like life coaching in Harvard? There's no such thing. So don't claim a professional degree or credential if you don't have it. You can be a hobbyist. I've seen someone who called themselves a quantum physics hobbyist. And when they were talking about quantum physics, I had a lot of respect because they knew their stuff. So you can be an expert who just studies on your own. You also want to be careful because there's what is called credibility hunting and flaunting and posturing. Everybody wants to show that I've gotten this degree. I'm now a doctor. I got an honorary doctorate degree. And the next thing, they slam doctor this in front of their name. Be careful because that can erode your credibility and reduce the trust that people have in you. So if you're going to use credibility indicators, use them wisely. Don't flaunt them. It doesn't help. Okay. Okay, you ready to help us? I don't know what was I? Okay, yes, I think I got this comment from was it LinkedIn or Instagram? For those of us who want to help shape the future of humanity, right? Someone said a little learning is a dangerous thing. So you want to drink deep or taste not the Persian spring. There, shallow draws intoxicate the brain. Alexander Pope, it's always been wild to me, the most perfect and succinct explanation of the Dunning-Kruger effect and its dangers come from a poem that's over 300. So this is a complicated comment, but I can explain it to you. So this person is saying, if you want to shape the future of humanity, because I do a lot of social listening and social cultural observing. So I like to collect people's conversations that stand out for me. So this was in a conversation about how we're learning these days. We're taking bite-sized information on social media. We're not doing deep learning. So this person was talking about how bite-sized learning can can cause damage to our brains because we get intoxicated, but the brain does not get fed enough. It's just this dopamine feedback loop. And we can then be susceptible to the Dunning-Kruger effect, where we think we know this problem so well when we do not really know it. So in closing here, for the fourth industrial landscape, I encourage you to be an autodidact. For those of us who are still going to traditional educational systems, you want to do that, but you also want to learn on your own. Learning autonomy is important. You want to be an independent student. And the strategic solutions team and our company will be coming together, working together to support you on that journey so we can help you map out your learning journey. You want to be learning every day. This is a world where, like I said, you need to fuel your mind so that we can feed the machines better and we can work in synchronization with the machines. So what I wanted to do in the next few minutes was to have some experts tell us, based on all the things that we've shared, share with us their knowledge work area out of the 7 and tell us why they chose that area. So is there anyone? Let me just go back there. That's what we're doing in closing now. Quickly, because this session was supposed to be for an hour-ish, then we'll do Q&A for another 30 minutes, right, Nancy? Okay, so if there are any people, any experts or entrepreneurs in the room who want to just give us an idea of which of these areas they predominantly operate in and which they would either prefer to switch to or they want to add to where they are currently operating in. So any leaders in the room who want to go first? Maybe 1 or 2 persons.
I'll go first. Currently operating in the coaching area, primarily with executive coaching, leadership coaching. And I am shifting to the inspirer story, telling my story, trying to make impact in that regard and doing more speaking engagements.
Sounds really good.
Enhancing my content again to reflect that shift.
Okay. I like that. Sounds really good. Do you want to share why you made the switch?
I made the switch because like I've been through a lot of things and my job is what is requiring me mostly to do the coaching aspect. And as I began telling more of my story, it just like something is drawing me towards that sector. And I guess it's just I call it like a calling. Sometimes you're called to do certain things. So I'm leaning on that pull, and it's been gaining traction. So I'm just assuming that is I'm making the right decision.
Yeah. Okay. I see. It might be as a result of the fact that this one aligns more with your natural performance area. And maybe you're just figuring it out because sometimes we choose our expertise expression based on the context, what we studied or where we found ourselves, the kind of work context we found ourselves in. But I'm thinking you might be gravitating towards your natural domain. As long as you enjoy it and you're gaining more traction from it, I would give you a thumbs up. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I do agree. I think when I initially started my business, I leaned more towards what my skill set already was, which was special education and education consultant. So it just made sense. And I was successful there, but again, it probably is more of my natural feel, and that's probably why it's pulling me like, hey, you need to be over here,
Yeah, I like that. Sounds good. Anyone else? Thanks, Michelle, for sharing. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm driving. I don't know if you hear me clearly.
Sure, we can hear you.
Oh my God, that was so good. Thank you so much for that information. It was really, really good. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, mine is definitely in coaching. It's an innate thing for me. And I work more with women. I started more with married women, then it went more into business coaching, that coaching corporations, more on the personal and professional development area.
Okay.
But being that I've also been in the financial sector for such a long time, I'm now seeing the huge gap in people that are making money but do not understand or know how to make money work for them.
Okay.
And that's been a sector that I've worked in for years. So I brought that also into my coaching and called it Thrive 360, because I realized that as women entrepreneurs, we need the whole 360. We need to learn how to take care of our body, mind, and soul. We can't just perfect one area of our life without it affecting other areas.
That's right.
So I would see a lot of women, married women, go all into their business, their niche, their this, their that, and have no clue of how to navigate having an amazing marriage,
Hmm.
having a wonderful relationship with their children, while also balancing beautiful business.
Yeah.
So it was something that has been on my heart. And I can tell you that I've gone through the journey. I've gone through areas of being, what do we call it? God, I don't want to do this. God, I don't want to deal with these kind of women. No, I don't. But at the end of the day, when I look at social media, I don't see anyone that's being real to that call. So a lot of times when you see a problem,
Step in.
you're the one who see the problem. So it may be that there's an answer that you have to that problem. And if that problem is really bothering you, you may just be the person being called to take care of it. So that's where my expert, and I've not only from a personal, not only from a personal, what can I call it? Not only from learning from my family, my grandmother, mother, but I've also invested so much in myself to dig deep into that area. And I saw that there's a huge loophole. So since then, it's been great. It's been grand. It's very emotional. That's the only part that I'm having issues with. I think that the soft part of me is always like, my husband was like, why does everybody's problem have to be your problem? I'm
Yeah.
like, so yeah, that's mine.
Wow. I mean, you said a lot, and I could draw out a lot of insights on what you said. First of all, I loved how you identified the sector. So you figured out your expertise area, which is coaching. It has to do with mostly life coaching, lifestyle coaching, which can also be applied in the corporate world. So corporates and organizations can hire you as an executive coach for their executive leaders who have lifestyle issues, right? And I love
Yeah.
how you mentioned understanding your natural ability. So you're empathetically endowed. That's why people's problem become your problem, and you're over indexing on people's problem, and the people around you. The beautiful thing about life is that the people around us often feel confused about our natural areas of performance. If you're someone
Yeah.
who's endowed empathetically, people are wondering, why are you always taking on people's problem? If you're someone
Uh-huh.
exactly, if you're someone who talks a lot and you tell stories, people around you want you to shut up for a minute so they can breathe. And, it becomes noisy, right? It's so ironical, but it's interesting. So I love how you, at least you know your natural area of performance, and you've aligned it
Yeah.
to a knowledge work area, and you're working on that. So what I'd encourage you to do is to ensure that as a coach, you have the right frameworks. If you're not building the frameworks yourself, you work with consultants who have the right frameworks for life
Yeah.
coaching, whatever area of
Right.
coaching you're working on, so that you're giving your clients the best, the optimal
Yeah.
best for
hmm
the situation. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Rashida. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Sure.
Anyone else before we keep it moving?
I'll share since I'm here and I'm loving this session with you, Jasmine. But I would like to share that a consultant who has a natural gift of inspiring. So I'm someone that can speak in front of 100,000, and it wouldn't faze me one bit. I actually would be more energized from it, and use that to share the gift of the consultancy, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing with Strategic Solutions, building a community, sharing about it,
Yeah.
trying to mobilize a group of women to be a part of this this consulting area.
Yeah. Yeah, totally okay. I'm going to check on that because I was going to say that for you. I see you more as an inspirer who predominantly an inspirer, then secondary a strategist and consultant. That's how I see because you're a great networker. You know how to bring people together. It's just a natural thing for you and you're killing it. So keep that up. Keep your inspiring expertise area going and hopefully we see where this takes us. So in closing here, I want to encourage us to connect in community, like we said at the empowerment conference. We want to curate high-grade knowledge. Like, Rashida, thanks for the feedback. There's a whole lot to learn. There are frameworks, even for those of us who are operating across different areas of expertise, those of us who are entrepreneurship, taking on risks. We're going to be bringing in resources and knowledge to help us manage our risks and manage the opportunities coming. We're talking about the fourth industrial revolution and how to be equipped for it, and not just be equipped, to equip our teams, to equip our businesses for it. So we're going to be bringing a lot of resources, a lot of expertise. We're going to be bringing experts from across the world across a lot of areas of knowledge, especially for those of us who are entrepreneurs and experts. So I encourage you to stay together with us in community. In closing here, I want to say that one of the key things Nancy and I have had some long discussions about this. We want to be able to bring entrepreneurs and experts and put them into two categories, the visionaries and the revolutionaries. So like we talked about the influencers, the merchants, the people who are out there with the loudspeakers and with the megaphones and shouting and louding it out in the marketplace will help take the ideas of the visionaries. The visionaries are the ones who go to the future and articulate what the future wants, right? While the revolutionaries are those who get us to adapt that future to today's present. And there's just a divide in today's world. All these people are working in silos. They're working in isolation. They're not collaborating. So we want to bring visionaries together and revolutionaries in a community where we all co-create and work together to push the best ideas out there in the world. So that when people come to the community we're building this, they can vouch for the quality of expertise, they can vouch for the quality of knowledge that we're delivering to the world. So that's what we're working on, is a work that we're going to have to do together. So if you're a B2B expert, if you work mostly with B2B companies and you're any kind of entrepreneur, so whether you're a B2C, B2B, and B2G entrepreneur, we would be coming together to work with you. So I want you to stay tuned on Nancy's platform. If you follow me across social media as well, stay tuned because we want to build and be equipped for the future. So after this session, I'm going to be sending this knowledge work charting system that I shared with you. So if you're working with a client, you're clear on what they need, you're clear on the decision-making level they want you to come in, so you can charge them appropriately and make sure they don't cheat you. And if you are an entrepreneur and you're working with experts, you also need this system to make sure that you both are on the same page so that you know what they're delivering and they're optimizing their expertise. And like I said, I shared at the empowerment conference, I wrote a book. Most of the things I shared today are embedded in the book, The Future of Work, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, The Knowledge Workforce Value Chain, and blah, blah, blah. So you can get access to that book. It's on Amazon. You can get a screenshot here, or you can scan the code here and get access right to the book. Then finally, in closing, we encourage you to join our free community on Facebook for entrepreneurs and experts. I'm going to be sending the link to Nancy, and she will share this with her community via email. So thanks. And if you have any questions, we'll take them in the next 10 minutes, right? I think we have 10 minutes more to go.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. I did have a question from someone who's actually on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Her name is Cassie, and I certainly will collect her email as well so she can have this information.
Sure.
But she asked, where do you go to do the deep learning? It's a really great question. And what news outlets or online magazines do you check out social issues?
Deep learning. you're going to have to need a system to deep learn, because if I say go to YouTube, or I say go to Google, I'm not going to be helping you, because what's going to pop up on the top of Google is the ones that have been bidded upon, you know what is called pay-per-click. So advertisers have pushed those knowledge up. They might not be the best knowledge. You might have to dig. That's why research means searching over and over again. So you might have to go down, because when you query Google, there are billions of responses that come up. So if you go to the ones at the top, you're not going to get the best. So you want to go through multiple. So if you want to be a deep learner, you have to do research, searching and searching again. So it's not just enough to go to Google. You want to go to all the resource platforms, use the internet, use the language learning models like ChatGPT, there's Grok from XAI. Facebook just launched the latest version of the Llama, is a deep learning model as well. So if you have questions, I query deep learning models a lot. I have a question about, today I just asked the deep learning model, ChatGPT, give me a distinguishing factor between an entrepreneur and an expert, and it just did that for me. And I added it to my notes. So you want to use multiple resources. Now, if you are, I could tell you just go apply for an MBA or go get a master's in an area of problem you're trying to solve. But the thing is, the educational system is so backwards. It's not keeping up to the latest trends, the changes that are happening. So that's why I encourage being an autodidact, be an independent learner, be the one who learns on your own. Just build a pathway. Like for me, I built a pathway to help me learn. So Nancy, we're going to be sharing that pathway in our community so that you can map out your learning, so that the learning has to be first about you before about anything else. So you learn about you, take your self-assessment, your leadership profiles and all that. So what's the second question? What was
I'm going to actually do a shameless plug too, and this is why Strategic Solutions Global is created. So you're talking about a leadership institute where we're connecting global leaders to experts, right? Because at this point, and you shared, which I'm so happy that you did, the internet is full of people who are claiming to be experts. And so we have to be careful about the information that we're consuming. But within Strategic Solutions and connecting with the experts, it's important to learn yourself. And so our model is through inquiry, right? So you get to discover before you can deliver, before you can disrupt systems.
Yeah.
And so this is the place, girl. That's where you come to meet the Jasmines of the world.
That's right. This is a place. So we're building a platform where we can have trusted experts, right? And the reason they can be trusted is because they have access to high quality knowledge, and they're then building their own wisdom. Because we're going to have systems that help experts tap into revelation. Because listen, you need to be way ahead of the machines. You need to be way ahead of the problem, and you need to tap into your human potential to do that. And you need to be guided on how to do that. Thanks for that question from LinkedIn. Any other question on here or any comments before we call it a close? I'm seeing some comments here. I wonder what the pros and cons of being a combination is. Okay, yeah, I think we discussed it. So you can be a blend of multiple areas of expertise, but I'd advise, like I said earlier, to have a dominant one, a primary one, and a secondary one, so you can easily prioritize. Machines don't have interpersonal skills. Nimi, yes, Nimi, they do. I don't know. We can debate that. Haven't you heard people talking about machines being relationship companions or sexual companions to people? I mean, it's all weird, but it's crazy. I mean, they can be programmed to behave as though they have interpersonal skills. You can chat with ChatGPT about your personal life issues, and he might sound cool. Yeah. My daughter once said to Siri, "Hi Siri, I love you." And Siri said, "Now you are the wind beneath my wings," or something like that. And my daughter was so fluttered about that. I'm like, "Hey girl, this is a machine, okay? It's an AI." So they can be programmed to have human-like abilities, but that's never going to replace humans.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm sorry, if that's okay.
Sure.
So you were talking earlier about, content creators and people that says, you can make so much money, or they can teach you how to be wealthy. And you said, naturally human beings are selfish people. Why would they want to put all of that out there if they knew how to do that, make you wealthy? So the thing about that is, if I have information, and this is what they're doing, because I've taken these several courses over the past 15 years. And what they are asking people to do, especially a lot of other coaches, is that put the truth out there, sell the truth, let people know exactly how you became wealthy. But in the realness of the matter is, when I give you information, you pay me. When I give you information, you pay me. So there's a need for the information that I have, and you need it. If I give it to you, you pay me. So depending on how many people I give that information to, or how many people are needing that information. And in the world where there's like so many, God knows how many people, if I now charge $1,000 or I charge $10,000 or $25,000, because people do charge that. Yeah. I have coaches that make $1 million a day. So if I have information that you're needing, you pay me. Yeah. And that makes a person wealthy. So I think the message and the way they're putting it out there is just not proper. But with what you and Nancy are doing, for people to literally dig into their inner personality, like who are you, and to bring out that authenticity is what people really need. That's what people really need. Yeah. And people will pay a fortune for that.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's
a
good point you've made, Rashida, because I've seen a lot of conversations, a lot of marketing baits around, oh, I just made 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures. I just banked $1 million. But there's no data to show for that. When you go to the statistics of business, whatever in the US, you don't have the data to support the claims of these guys who will tell you they are making 8 figures and 9 figures monthly, and they are banking millions every year, right? There's no data to support that. So it's all marketing gimmicks, it's all marketing tactics that is even further, is exacerbating the problem of the rich and the poor. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen with this whole narrative of everybody trying to show that they figured how it works. So what I tell experts is, do not be caught up. I don't even want to have an expert in my network whose marketing is along the lines of, I want to help you get rich. I want to help you. It is so fraudulent. It is not right. I want to help you solve a problem that can empower you to get wealthy. That sounds more honest. It sounds more legitimate, right? So even as a coach, coaches don't sell information. That's the unfortunate part. Many people think that when I hire a coach, they're just going to give me a list of things to do. Coaches sell frameworks that help you get to a solution. Information is free on the internet. Information is everywhere. It's a dime a dozen. You can't be paying someone to just give you info if you're educated and can just get information yourself. So we're paying people to solve problems, and we want people who solve problems, not just people who
problem solving.
Problem solving. Now that's what we're big on here. So
gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's all about constant learning, and please learn from experts with frameworks, and that can get you to the next level. Again, I always say information is absolutely free. What are you doing with the information? How is the information being organized? And I always say, backed with data and research. Anyone can say anything, but what data do you have to back up the claim? So again, that's what we're doing here at Strategic Solutions Global, a leadership institute for global leaders, right, where you can learn. My last question, because I'm always about practical leadership, education, practical skills that we can take back with us. What would you offer to a leader here today that they can apply to prepare for the 4th industrial revolution that you've talked about?
Exactly. The link I showed you to the resource, the expertise mapping, I call it the knowledge work charting and mapping tool. So that resource would help you engage with your clients better. And if you are someone who hires experts, it would help you check those experts. Like Rashida is saying, if I go online and an expert is saying, I'm a coach and I'm going to help you get rich, first of all, that's a red flag. I'm not going to hire that coach. If I go online and I see a coach who says, I'm a coach and I have a framework to help you help your team become more flourishing, when I engage with that coach, I want to ensure they have the frameworks. It's because when I bring them to work with my executive leaders, you're not going to be giving them templates or telling them, go watch a YouTube video or go watch a podcast. That's an insult. You're working with executive leaders. They need a framework, a step-by-step blueprint on how they can tackle this complex problem. So the knowledge work charting tool will help both the expert and the entrepreneur to ensure that they are serving better and they are not being taken advantage of or taking advantage of their clients. So that's what I'm going to share, especially for the future of work. See, listen, expertise have become so watered down. It's even, I get what's the word I'm looking for? I get not apprehensive. I hesitate to call myself an expert in public forums, because the next thing people will look at you is, do you really know what your expertise are? They start questioning your credibility without even testing to validate whether you're good enough at the job. So you want to be an expert who holds their expertise in high esteem and who does just do your work with some grace and deliver the best. If you're a servicer, meaning you organize systems, you train, you facilitate, you just need to go out there and facilitate. If you're a consultant, it's more complex. You're building roadmaps. If startups hire me these days to look at their technology roadmap to ensure that their algorithms there's what we call problem solution fit. We ensure that they can find that with their solutions. There's also product market fit. We ensure they can establish that. It takes frameworks to help them do that. And we work hard as a team here to ensure that they do that. So depending on the level of expertise you're coming at, you want to have the systems to help the client just get. We don't want companies that look successful on the outside, but faulty on the inside with their frameworks, no foundation to stand on. So that's one of the key resources I'll be giving experts for the future of work. That knowledge work charting tool will help us elevate our expertise, boost our impact. If you serve one client and you serve them to the best of your ability and they get to their results, my God, guess what happens next? You're the talk of the town, right? So you can scale your impact and profit that way.
Exactly.
Any
Nice.
final questions?
Nice.
Well, I'll say this. Thank you, Jasmine. Again, you can be an expert in any of those domains that she shared. I will certainly share this information and connect you all directly to her as well in a email thread. That way you can speak directly with her. But I always say, become an expert at something, because experts are always desired. And so in this global market, we want to be desired because we're going to be competing in the future, and the future is now. With that being said, thank you, Jasmine. Any final words before I end tonight's session? You are absolutely fabulous, and we appreciate you having you in our community.
My fan, thanks, Nas, for having me. Thanks, amazing global leaders, for having me here. It's always fun, always inspiring. I learned from you all a lot. So thank you for being so exceptional. My final words in closing, I want to encourage us to be equipped for the future. And we can't do this as silos. Enough of being siloed, enough of working in isolation. We need to have massive impact. There's an opportunity to shape culture and shape civilization. And the time is now for women, especially those of us who are visionaries. I know Nancy I call her the strategy wizard. She's a visionary and she aligns visionaries. So let's work together in community. Like I said, we'll be sharing email prompts going forward on what we're doing and how we want us to come together. We work together, we earn together, we up-level the quality of our work together, and we change the landscape together. So that's what I'm going to say in closing. Let's come together to create impact for the future of work. Let's vote on the future with our work and leave a legacy.
That's
Yes.
right.
Thank you so much. Stay connected with me, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can connect directly with us, plug into the community. You can go to strategic-solutions.global, subscribe to the newsletter, apply to be a part of the Leadership Collective, LinkedIn community. Like, stay connected so we can change the world together. Connect, collaborate, catalyze change.
Thank
you for being here this evening.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Nance. It was so great.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.
I'll call you.
Sure.